God of War 1 and 2 raised Kratos to such unthinkable heights that he became one of the main symbols of Sony consoles. And since the series has become instantly popular and brings a huge amount of Yano in its honor, sequels and prequels naturally went to the development. We will get to the very sequel with the cut-off ending of the second game in another video, but now let's look at what the God of War was like introduced to the pocket-sized state.
I am God of War, Chains of Olympus.
From the very first seconds of the first cutscene, you can see how deep the PSP version of Most Wanted is, which technically cannot stand any competition. Of course, I understand that Most Wanted came out much earlier, but it came out on the same platform. And even if we put aside that gaming misunderstanding and look at this game with virgin eyes, it will be quite difficult to find a lot of differences from the first two games on PlayStation 2. Yes, the pixels are a little more visible, but this is now on a monitor. Then, however, on the small screen, it was impossible to notice any visual differences at all. What can we say? The Red Dawn Studio will show everyone what a cool graphic it can do more than once. And it will also show, and will show many times, how short games it can make. If the first and second games took about 10 hours each, and I was able to overcome this one to the end in about 4 hours. And Santa Monica in turn will show how they are not ready to hurry in the third game. While everyone is waiting for the grand finale that we were promised in the end of second game, Santa Monica may have already made a sequel, but in parallel helped with the development of these two handhelds, which most likely show down the development of the third game.
Here's Kratos, the once great general, now known as the Ghost of Sparta.
Similarities with the games on large consoles are also beginning to be visible in the off-screen bloom, which is still quite a lot here. But no matter how cool the cutscenes look on a small PSP screen, enlarged to the size of monitor, not to mention TV, they sometimes clearly show how outdated they are in terms of quality, even in comparison with the cutscenes on the first PlayStation. Well, I'm also a fool, I took the version on a PSP and not the remaster on the PS3, where most likely the resolution of cutscenes were slightly raised. I confess I will play the Ghost of Sparta already in a remaster. The combat system hasn't changed too much, except that it has been slightly simplified. It's not entirely clear why. I've never played the PSP, but I don't think it's much harder to play all kinds of combo that were in the original. Everything here is pretty basic. There are normal hits and there are stronger hits with the right or left bumper clamped. And after a while, you can see that you use the same beats all the time and alternate them just to have a little more variety on the screen. The staging of the screens also remain the same, and they still quite often look cinematic, epic and beautiful. These idiots had a great time seeing a huge arrow being fired at them, but they decided to just stand and watch it fly right to the next fucking boss. Here we met our first boss, the battle with which, also they became easier, they still continue to be very cool. But in terms of bosses, the game decided to return to its roots in the first game, in sense that their number here can be counted in fingers of a person who likes to stick his hands in a lawnmower. And this is even taking into account a shorter duration. Even during these 4 hours that I played, I constantly had the feeling that there were somehow not enough bosses in the game. In view of the lack of right stick in a PSP, because the brilliant designers of Sony, having made everything perfect in a portable, decided that they needed to crap somewhere, I got on topic. So in view of the sense of the stick, the dodge switches to two rear bumpers pressed together with the stick turned in the right direction. And at first it seems to me that pressing 3 buttons during dynamic battle just to dodge, it must be fucking inconvenient. And in other reviews I saw how they costed it. But having used the mechanic a little bit, I realized that it is more convenient than was in previous games, where it was the right stick. Here, in any case, you always keep stick pointed in right direction, and in order to dodge, just press those 2 buttons and Kratos flew, unlike the right stick, which is not involved in the game in any way, and which his player does not even touch in addition to dodge never. And when touches to dodge, it happens with a big delay, because the stick needs to be brought to the end in order for dodge animation to start. Sometimes the camera gets at such angles that Kratos starts to see worse colossus than mine. The simplification also included secret chests with health and magic upgrades, which are now often not very hidden, and if they are, somewhere is not far away. If neither in the first nor the second game I could not find any chest and pop all the health and magic, then here I, without particularly stretching, completely pumped them hour before the end of the game, if not earlier. And if there is such chests that I came across in the future, I found only red bulbs in the experience. Yes, in addition to the fact that this chest is not hidden, there are still much more of them than necessary, and therefore, even if you miss some somewhere, you can still pump the maximum. If the archers want to shoot Kratos, he will certainly shoot at Kratos, even if at the time his partner is standing in front of him. I was just told in the tutorial that I was reading the tutorial. Throwing on these narrow beams continue to be the same uncomfortable process. Judging by the concept and development videos, the battle with this boss of Persia should have been much more epic and in open location, and this non-prince of Persia should have been sitting on a huge elephant. In the end, everything turned out to be a little easier. The Persian decided to use his superpower with dullness with the floor only once, right before his death. One of the most serious shortcomings of the second game was the lack of minigame with fucking woman, and the number of boobs was much less than the first game. The Chains of Olympus have been corrected and returned to its original form, so that you can masturbate even sitting in the bus without giving way the evil grandmother who is standing right above you. Fucking quick time events on sticks. Judging by the red substacles with the same after sex, it can be assured that these two girls have some kind of vaginal disease, or just the sperm of the gods of Olympus has a red color.
I am grateful you have come, Ghost of Sparta.
Neither Sony, nor Santa Monica, nor even Radio Dawn committed on this situation in any way. These fucking camera passes were returned here again when we enter a new location. And when this camera pass occurs, even if the enemy is standing next to us, he will culturally wait until the camera rides won't end. If you grab a crossbow and you suddenly need to come off it, you can do it only after the shot. The Cascandadors saw how the big troll crushed their colleagues into a steak of pancake with one touch of his hand, but still decided not to run away, but to follow his fate. One of the things got better in this game is the QTE timings, which are now long enough for me to see the buttons appear and press it. Yes, I even managed to fail this segment a couple of times, but fuck you, it's not my fault. Judging by the animation, he took out the eyes of Cyclops, which are now not going to open a new weapon, or what it would open there, I don't know, I didn't collect all these eyes in the second game. Wow, that was beautiful.
О, це дуже страшно. Та смію сказати, сам твій подих налякає кого хочеш. Ти б зрідка тік-так смоктав, бо смердить!
I don't understand for what reason, but if you move the stick as shown here, tightening completely, the game will not register this to reason, but if you tilt a little and twist it, then everything will work.
Allah Akbar.
In the cutscene, the boss lies between these twin towers. But after the end of the cutscene, we moved much further away from them, so that we could continue the battle as the game intended.
Fulfilling his commitment to the gods.
How Kratos managed to fly so far, I didn't quite understand. He somehow used his chain there, but they are not rubber to shoot him so far. According to the classics of the genre, here again the location is closed until you defeat all opponents, and only after that you are given the opportunity to move on. No matter how long I stand here, they won't think on entering the house. I'm not hinting at anything, but it seems that the developers of this game drove into the past in order to steal this mechanic from Plague for moving something burning so that kind of infection would not grab you. I swear to you that's exactly how it was, and in no case not vice versa. I can't fight with this burning stick, why? Just like with camera rolls, when the QTE segment is secure, no one is around and does not try to stop me. I slightly step aside to explore the room, in which I hoped to find a chest with improvements, but in which there was nothing at all, and why it exists in the game I did not understand. After that, Athena met Kratos and began to tell him the plot of the game, which is much worse written and far from being as interesting as it was in the last two games. And this despite the fact that in first two games the plot was as simple as uncomplicated as it generally possible, but at least it was interesting to watch it. Right there, everything is so boring that while I was playing, I didn't really understand where this Kratos going at all and what he was doing here at all. It's not that the plot in the series plays any important role, the most important thing here is that the combat is interesting, but still this is a strong flaw. I can jump over this little ledge that my target is behind, and I can smash this gate despite the fact that Kratos raised fucking hefty buildings with his own hands, but the grid is already too hard, and that's why I have to go in circles to get to the place by another way. Also, there is no reflection of Kratos himself on this shitty floor, it still looks so beautiful on this platform that I can again proudly say that Ray Tracing go fuck himself. Having pumped this dullness on the ground just once, it turned into Inba, which instantly destroys everything who is nearby, is not blocked by enemy in any way, and also remove quite a bit of magic scale, and this is not yet fully pumped. Why show how the door closes? I just found the key to use in the same room. Parrying in such a dynamic game is more like a joke. joke. From time to time, the shadow of Kratos decided to start his own life. On this riddle I was stupid for a long time, and not because it's somehow heavy, but because they decided to hide the passage in a place where the camera never even looks, which in principle is even good, at least a little to think in the garbage made me, because most other riddles are another thing that has undergone castration. They were simplified so much here that most of them begin to represent simply placing an item, on which even I never got stupid during this solution. They are so simple. Okay, a couple of times I did look down a little, as in this case, but this managed to be done in such simple riddles. Water jumping is still a water jumping. Kratos got a contraption that allowed him to breathe underwater, which he naturally loses before beginning of the first game, so that he can fight it again. And such a problem accompanies most of the weapons and abilities of the hero. Most of them are a more common rare skin of the was before. The same dullness of the floor is stun gun that does the same thing. A thing that shoots something is this bow from the second game, repulsion shots and so on. Whereas the second game showed weapons and abilities well, or most of them it feels like something new, unlike what it was before. The game again has underwater level, and again they managed not to mess it up, which is nice. Yes, I realize that I need to get there. Stop focusing on this so much already. I still have half of my vision left. Leave me alone.
May you go with the speed of Hermes, Ghost of Sparta.
Long right elevator with waves of opponents constantly entertaining us cliché. Why look around for so long where only walls stand where no one could even hide? How painfully slow these statues are. The 3 horses we released were already in the last game.
He heard the haunting melody, but this time he recognized it as the song of his daughter, Calliope.
Calliope? My daughter, where are you?
These 2 replicas of Kratos were enough for all that off-screen babbling before that to lose any meaning in its existence. Just like twisting the stick, if you tap the rear bumpers too fast in quick time events, they won't be able to tell you're tapping them at all, so they don't protect those taps at all. Nazguls? After looking at this frame for just a second, I instantly, without hesitation, was able to come up with a name for this dude. From now on, he will be called Dickface. This Dickface killed me pretty quickly, and I'm like, wow, it is really a heavy boss that I'm going to pick for a long time, but no, it turned out that this is how it was intended, but in fairness, the game was able to deceive me, for which it got a plus sign. But that's why they decided to enslave Kratos and not kill him to death, so that he would already stop bothering them, it's not clear. I understand that this is a world of death, and like if you died then you go here, but some kind of crappy is this world of death if you can escape from it so easily. Instead of saving these poor people from the shackles, Kratos cut them into pieces, thus replenishing his health. He is as such asshole our main character. Please pay attention to the magnificent vision of these 2 archers, who seem to have completely forgotten about my existence while we climbing the ledge. And now I ask you to pay attention to the slight curvature to the local game design. It seems to me that not everyone will think to the first time that I need to walk along this ledge, which is almost invisible in the big screen and even more so in the small one. Why did the glow change its size when it experienced Kratos' hand fisting? And now with this glow I can call Kratos anything other than Hellboy and the bare minimum, and also when compared with the modern film, but probably even the maximum. This glow is so strong that with its help I can break all kinds of structures, that just for example this grate that coming to me, I can break it anyway, because it's not a canonical event. And again, as soon as you climb a sticky wall, your weapon changes to standard, and after you climb, it will not change back. Stair jumping animation is just divine. The spinning of the spinner with enemies sometimes crawling out, who wanted to prevent this already in the second game. If the game doesn't want to let Kratos go to places he doesn't want to go, it won't let Kratos go to places he doesn't want to go, even if there is nothing in front of him to hinder its process. Kratos, stop skating, they haven't been invented yet. The one who glued a piece of the skull of the head of this Nazgul did very bad job. I just maxed out blessed weapon, after which I still have a bunch of unused experience and also a little less than 1 hour of play, during which I will collect a huge amount of this red bulb, which I have nowhere else to use.
Kratos looked, but his daughter was nowhere to be seen.
Bitch, yes, I see it! Why explain it over the stage?
Where is my daughter, witch?
Choose your words carefully, Ghost of Sparta.
In order to see his daughter, Kratos left all his strength, only to return them back in a couple of minutes. Kratos has nothing interesting under his skirt. This is the most brilliant and at the same time the most meme QuickTime segment in the history of mankind. In which, however, I drew attention to one more thing that migrated to this game since the first PlayStation and Fast and Furious Showdown.
Mother, please!
Yes, the movement of the girl's mouse, the creators, for some reason, could not do. So we come to the final battle with some woman, whose name I'll already forgotten, and this battle, like most of the others, is cool, big and epic from beginning to the end. The face of this Gigantosaurus is worked out more than the face of protagonist, how it is.
I do not need the aid of the gods! But my path is now clear to me. I will serve them! And they will keep their promise to free me from my past!
In other words, the gods have betrayed me, and therefore I will continue to serve them in the hope that they will betray me again. Great tactics!
The mighty Atlas was left enchained.
I see, damn it! And since God of War is a part of Marvel Cinematic Universe, after the credits we were shown a small scene in which Kratos was taken away from the Thanos' glow and all other weapons and abilities, so that pumping in the first game would make at least some scene. But despite all the quibble that I cited in this video, on a portable console in 2008, to get the opportunity to play the full-fledged God of War, and not just a port of the first and second game, but a full-fledged game with its own story, it's very cool. Now on a large consoles, when the game also competes with the first and second games of the series, its many mechanics, level design and graphics begin to be visible, which is certainly bad, but still it did not stop me from enjoying this game. Its only serious problem which greatly disappointed me it is duration, but unlike the Most Wanted, in this case it is likely that nothing else really fit on the disc. And in order for everything to fit on your disc, you need to like this video, share it on social networks, sign in it, this is a shock, watch it urgently, you won't see anything else, and subscribe to the channel.